Hey, it's your old pal Lucid Stu again, and for this video we're heading back to Texas. Some interesting news this last month for the Texas Central Railway project between Dallas and Houston. The Trump administration has pulled a previously awarded Corridor ID grant for that, and Amtrak has been withdrawn from the project. I handled the whole TCR drama in Stu's news this month. Check that out. In this one, I want to focus on the impacts of those recent events on a related project, Dallas-Fort Worth high-speed transportation. If you've been watching your Stu's news, you know this is a 32-mile project mostly within the Interstate 30 right-of-way meant to link the cores of Fort Worth, Arlington, and Dallas, Texas with a fast train. Texas Central weighs heavily on this project because TCR's environmentally cleared Dallas Station site in the Cedars area is DFWHST's eastern anchor. Trying to get through the quagmire of western downtown Dallas and its glorious Texas-sized interstate spaghetti is a big determinant in terms of routing, but also an equally large source of friction with the Dallas City Council. That is because the TCR station is planned to be elevated, and to successfully reach that station through downtown, DFWHST will need to be on viaduct that could exceed a height of 100 feet. This has offended a local developer that owns adjacent land and also the Dallas City Council, which has understandably balked at a huge viaduct running through their downtown. Beyond those difficulties, this already short high-speed rail line would stop in Arlington about midway, producing runs of 13 and 19 miles. That is barely enough distance to get up to speed, and in fact that project probably won't exceed 160 miles per hour in service. Now, if you connect this to Houston via TCR, then you have a Fort Worth to Houston connection with 3 stops, servicing metro areas totaling 15 million people, and the utility becomes more obvious. To argue against DFWHST and for a better alternative, I'm going to refer to the Dallas-Fort Worth Core Express Service Alternatives Report, commissioned by the Federal Railroad Administration in 2017. This report states that the DFWHST Interstate 30 routing is not even reasonable enough to make it past the first round of considerations. The report found the concept to be too expensive, too complex, and too challenging from an engineering standpoint. Though it would be about 20 minutes end to end, in my Texas to Arkansas high-speed rail video I estimated cost at $12.1 billion in 2028 dollars, which works out to almost $400 million per mile. The Core Express study put this at $11 billion in 2016 dollars, which works out to about $15 billion in 2028 dollars. Keep in mind, that's ending up at a Dallas station potentially connected to nothing. 2 other routing alternatives were considered: the current Texas Rail Express alignment, and then a hybrid of Interstate 30 and the TRE route bridged by SR 360 in the middle. Those were combined with 4 service options: 90 mile per hour diesel electric, 125 mile per hour electric and not, and then 220 mile per hour electric high-speed rail. I'm going to throw a monkey wrench in the works and pick 110 mile per hour diesel electric. First of all, the current geometry of the TRE route supports 110 mile per hour travel over about 85% of its distance. The routes in the study are relatively expensive due to grade separation work for the 125 and 220 mile per hour options. They also tried too hard to separate passenger out from freight. The hybrid routing option is tempting with its connection to Arlington attractions, but it shares some of the I-30 route's capital expense problems, and its more circuitous route is slower. I say if Arlington wants to pick up the tab, then go for it. As a result, my option would end up looking a lot more like the study's 90 mile per hour TRE option. Let's point out right off the bat that the existing 79 mile per hour service takes 1 hour between Fort Worth and Dallas as a local. The study has a 90-mile-per-hour express at 38 minutes. The study has between 3 and 5 stops for the TRE route, but the current route has 10 stations, so it just depends what kind of service you prefer. For the example in this video, I'm going with an express that stops in the middle at CentrePort Station, which connects to DFW International 5 miles to the north by shuttle bus. On either end would be Fort Worth Central Station and Eddie Bernice Johnson Union Station in Dallas. Fort Worth is currently talking about a streetcar system that would likely connect to Central Station. Union Station in Dallas connects to Dallas's DART light rail system. A 6-mile shuttle bus ride would get you from CentrePort to Arlington attractions, but Arlington doesn't have any local public transit. Let's work through the alignment described in the Core Express study, and I will visualize it with some changes. Fort Worth T&P Station, we're going to skip it because it's only 3/4 of a mile from Fort Worth Central. You can add it in if you want. TRE's website has that taking 3 minutes to transit. The Core Express study attempts to completely separate from the existing service and ends up with 3 miles of high viaduct and a raised station in downtown Fort Worth. I know Texas loves layered viaduct, but we're going to stop the insanity and stick with the existing setup in and out of Fort Worth Central. This is constrained to 2 tracks out of the station. There is a level rail crossing, and then TRE is constrained to 1 track for half a mile due to the insanely complex web of road and rail infrastructure there. It's slow, and the volume restriction is real for sure, but I'm looking at this as an option that could actually get done in a state that has actively been working against passenger rail for decades, so we'll stick with it. After looking at it for a long time, I concluded the 100-foot high viaduct from the Core Express study is probably the best solution to expand capacity from Fort Worth Central to the east. That could be added later on, though. The other alternative would be an underground station and 2 miles of tunnel, but then you start getting into DFWHST territory in terms of expense, because that route involves an underground station and about 3 miles of tunnel to get out of Fort Worth. Existing TRE is alternating single double track. The double track sections are generally around stations and a couple of miles long. We're not going to worry about that because we're going to augment that with separate tracks. This could be anything from fully single tracked to fully double tracked, depending on scheduling and how it tied into the existing local tracks. That would start at the west fork of the Trinity River on the south side of existing tracks. The Core Express study shifts the existing tracks north and adds 2 more, which would take out quite a few buildings in the area. I will do the same, but keep the 2 new tracks in the right-of-way at a 79-mile-per-hour paradigm. We're close to Fort Worth. You don't lose that much time doing this, but you do save money. After a half mile of that, the right-of-way widens, it becomes easier to fit everything, and we will accelerate to 110 miles per hour. The study has the new track switching sides at a nearby landfill, which I agree with. The route would pass the new Trinity Lake station on the north. There appears to be enough room to do that with 2 tracks. Trinity Lakes is an example of an initiative that the North Central Texas Council of Governments is pushing to encourage transit-oriented development along the TRE line. Trinity Lakes is a huge 1,600-acre development, mostly single-family homes, but it includes about 100 acres of walkable medium-density development around the station. From there, our train would keep humming along at 110 miles per hour on the north side of existing tracks for another 7 miles until needing to cross over to the south side again. That would bring us into the CentrePort station, which our new track or tracks would integrate into, perhaps with a second island platform or a reconfiguration. Transit-oriented development is also planned here on the south side of the tracks in an odd area along the river, wedged between a bunch of warehouses. But I guess the Dallas-Fort Worth Metro is growing so fast, they're desperate for centralized residential. Since we're stopping, let's check travel times. For Fort Worth to CentrePort, it is 17 miles. I have that taking 16 minutes for an average of 64 miles per hour. Compare that to 31 minutes currently. Recall that the Core Express 90 mile per hour option was 38 minutes end to end, which would produce 19 minutes Fort Worth to CentrePort. That puts the 110 mile per hour option up by 3 minutes. The TRE Link bus service takes 16 minutes to get to Dallas-Fort Worth Terminal B, and it is coordinated with rail, so you'd be looking at 35 minutes downtown Fort Worth to DFW. Compare that to 46 and 50 minutes for TRE and Tex Rail currently, respectively. Out of CentrePort to the east, this would require a rebuild of the Trinity Boulevard overcrossing, and the line would pass an existing TRE maintenance facility to the south. That would go under SR 161 and then pass the West Irving station on the south as well. Right after the West Irving station, we'd need to cross over to the north side to parallel some existing viaduct over 3 intersections before ducking under SR 356. East of SR 356, the Core Express suggests flying over a freight Y at the downtown Irving station, but I kind of like the idea of flying over a rebuilt station with upper and lower platforms. I think downtown Irving has a lot of potential right around the station. While I'm not including it in time calculations, if you had a 4th stop on a long-term express, this would be it for me. That will remain elevated through Nursery Road and then go back to ground level. After the Elm Fork of the Trinity River, another flip to the north side to avoid a Dallas, Garland, and Northeastern Yard. One more switching of sides after crossing Interstate 35 East. The Core Express study has tracks elevated through here, and I agree with that. I would have that come back to ground level and merge with existing TRE tracks just east of the Dart Market Center station, riding those TRE tracks into Eddie Bernice Johnson Union Station. The beauty of this idea is that future grade separation could still be done later, and viaducts on either end to increase capacity or to hook up with Texas Central in the 22nd century would still be possible, but in the meantime, you get a much faster express service in a much cheaper way than other options. So we've made it to Dallas. Let's check those travel times. CentrePort to Dallas is 16 miles. I have that taking 15 minutes for an average of 64 miles per hour again. With TRE Link, that's 34 minutes from Dallas to DFW. Compare that with the Dart Orange line at 50 minutes. Fort Worth to Dallas would be 33 minutes with one stop at CentrePort for an average of 62 miles per hour. That is 5 minutes faster than the TRE route in the Core Express study, and only 13 minutes slower than a much more expensive I-30 HSR routing. For sake of discussion, the SR 360 routing with a 4th stop in Arlington would be 10 minutes longer, but still 17 minutes faster than present. With that out of the way, let's talk turkey. The Core Express study has its 90 mile per hour TRE option at $3.49 billion. Adjusted for inflation, that is $4.8 billion. For a less flashy 110 mile per hour alternative, I have an estimated cost of $3.8 billion. That's about a third of what an Interstate 30 high-speed rail alternative would cost. Let's summarize to wrap things up. Of the alternatives, the North Central Texas Council of Governments picked the most expensive one by far, and it's pretty useless without a Texas Central Dallas station. Even with a Cedars station in place, this hypothetical 32-mile high-speed rail route would have little more use than a far cheaper alternative for a very long time. But what do you think? Is it high-speed rail or die, or should we be a little smarter with our money? What are Texas Central's chances at this point now that Amtrak is out of the picture? Let me know in the comments. Plenty more videos to come. Up next, I have a special idea that I'm going to keep secret. Look out for that video in about a week. But that's all for now. Until next time, I'll see you on that big, beautiful freeway.